So last night after having a couple of sandwiches, I got into some deep thinking. Are we living in a simulation? What you're seeing right now is known as Conway's Game of Life. Pretty fancy name if you ask me. This is one of the most basic kinds of simulation that we can build right now. It's also a very popular programming question given by sadistic professors. The Game of Life was invented by John Conway back in the year 1970. It's played on two-dimensional grid where each square is called a cell. A cell can either be dead or alive. These insanely complex patterns that you see, they're not animations. These cells are dying and reincarnating to form these patterns by just following a simple algorithm. First time I saw these patterns, it just blew my mind away. I mean, look at this, an oscillator, permutator, a fucking glider, are you kidding me? What's even crazier is that this whole simulation, it runs only on 4 basic set of rules. See this cell right here? It is surrounded by 8 neighboring cells. Now whether or not this cell will survive in the next generation depends upon these neighboring cells. But hold on a second. Before I explain how the Game of Life works, a little backstory. Last year, I made a small website for playing with this simulation. You can set the initial state of the game, meaning you can set which cells are alive, click on run and watch the action unfold. It was nothing new, there are a dozen websites like this. I made this because I wanted to understand how something so beautiful can come out of such basic rules. What if there's a set of rules that governs our reality? What if everything around us is just as useless as my bachelor's degree? Now I know what you all are thinking. I sound like those guys who believe in conspiracy theories, alien UFOs and we live in a simulation kind of bullshit, but don't worry. That's just crazy thinking, right? But here's the catch. While creating this website, it just occurred to me, what if it was 3-dimensional? I realized that the algorithm can in fact be applied to 3D space. Also, not many people have tried creating it in 3D. I wonder why. So here's the plan. We want to see how this would look like in 3D. I fired up Unity because I've been learning some game dev for the past few days. And thus I started building the 3D Game of Life. Instead of grid and a square, we'll have a room and a cube. To build the 3D simulation, we'll use the same set of rules from the original 2D model. Rule number 1. Any live cell with fewer than 2 living neighbor cells will die due to underpopulation. For showing dead cells, we'll simply not render them in space. Rule number 2. Any live cell with 2 or 3 live neighbors will survive and move on to the next generation. To represent a live cell, we'll have a cube in 3D space. These cubes represent cells in the simulation you just saw. This brings us to rule number 3. Any live cell with more than 3 live neighbors will die in the next generation as if by overpopulation. So the cells which gets overcrowded in our simulation will simply disappear. Last and final rule. Any dead cell with exactly 3 live neighbors becomes alive. This looks so cool already. For example, here you can see cells popping out of thin air. Now, I'm not gonna get into the code, but I just want to tell you that I could not optimize the performance very much. To all those who do not know how to code, if you all want to piss off your programmer friend, just show him this picture and watch him lose his mind. If you are a hardcore software engineer watching this video, look, I'm really sorry, I couldn't think of a better approach. But hey, if you can come up with a better way of implementing this, leave a comment below or make a pull request. Smart ass. So midway through the development, I realized that this was slowing down, like a lot. My PC was not powerful enough to compute a 50 by 50 by 50 matrix, or what's this called, space thingy, with so many operations.
Also, not many people have tried creating it in 3D. I wonder why.
But now I have come too far and there's just a lot of time and coffee invested. So I built the entire thing anyway. I reduced the dimensions to something my graphics card could handle and gave this cube some fancy ass colors. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you Conway's Game of Life in 3D. This looks like some alien monolith, doesn't it? However, there's just one problem. It's not actually 3D. I mean, the game and all looks cool, but it still exists inside my two-dimensional screen. Guys, I have a confession. This video is a teaser of what I actually plan on making. I have thought about a really interesting project and I plan on bringing this simulation out from this bloody screen. This whole thing with the Unity, I was just testing if the logic holds in 3 dimensions. So here's the deal. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel and I'll build Conway's game of life in real 3D space. See you next time.